The Constitution of India includes Article 148, which establishes an important role known as the Controller and Auditor General (CAG) of India. This individual leads the Indian Audit and Accounts Department, which is responsible for auditing the government's financial activities. The CAG is often called the guardian of the public purse, as their primary job is to oversee how money is spent by the government at both the national, centre, and state levels. The CAG plays a crucial role in maintaining the integrity and accountability of public finances. Their responsibilities include ensuring that government expenditures are lawful and that financial management follows the Constitution and the laws passed by Parliament. This means that the CAG checks if the government is using taxpayer money wisely and honestly, acting as a watchdog to prevent misuse or waste of public funds. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was a key architect of India's constitution, emphasized the significance of the CAG, stating that this position is one of the most vital roles within the constitutional framework. The CAG, along with other important institutions like the Supreme Court, the Election Commission, and the Union Public Service Commission, helps to protect democracy in India. These bodies work independently to ensure transparency, fairness, and rule of law in governance. In terms of legal backing, Article 149 of the Constitution gives the Parliament the authority to determine the conditions of service and powers of the CAG. Furthermore, the CAG is also governed by the Controller and Auditor General, Duties, Powers and Conditions of Service, Act, 1971, which outlines the specific duties and responsibilities of this officer. To summarize, the CAG of India holds a significant place in the country's governance. As an independent authority, the CAG ensures that the financial operations of the government are conducted in a transparent and lawful manner, ultimately contributing to the healthier functioning of democracy in India. Appointment and term of the Controller and Auditor General, CAG, of India. The Controller and Auditor General, CAG, of India is an important position responsible for overseeing government finances and ensuring accountability. The CAG is appointed by the President of India. This appointment is formalized through a special document known as a warrant, which is signed by the President and affixed with the official seal. Before taking office, the CAG must take an oath or make a declaration in front of the President. This oath includes a number of important commitments. First, the CAG pledges to be loyal to the Constitution of India. Second, the CAG promises to support India's sovereignty and integrity, which means respecting the nation's independence and unity. Third, the CAG agrees to perform the duties of the office with honesty and skill, making decisions based on knowledge and judgment, without bias or favoritism. Finally, the CAG affirms the commitment to uphold the Constitution and abide by the laws of the country. In terms of tenure, the CAG serves for a fixed term of 6 years. However, their time in office can end earlier if they reach the age of 65 years. This means that when a CAG turns 65, they can no longer hold this position, even if their 6-year term hasn't fully elapsed. The CAG has the option to resign from the position at any time. To do this, they need to submit a resignation letter addressed to the President. The process for removing a CAG is similar to that for removing a Supreme Court judge. If there are serious grounds for removal, such as proven misbehavior or incapacity to perform duties, the CAG can be dismissed by the President. However, this can only happen after both houses of Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, pass a resolution for removal with a special majority. This process of appointment, engagement, and potential removal is outlined in the Constitution of India, specifically under Article 148, which details the provisions for the CAG, ensuring a framework of accountability and integrity in the auditing of government accounts. The role of the CAG is critical in maintaining transparency in public finances, thus supporting good governance and accountability in India. Independence of the Controller and Auditor General, CAG, of India. The Constitution of India has made specific rules to ensure the independence of the Controller and Auditor General, CAG. This position is crucial for maintaining financial accountability within the government. Here are the key provisions that guarantee this independence. Firstly, the CAG is given security of tenure, which means that once appointed, this official cannot be easily removed from the position. The President of India has the power to remove the CAG, but this can only happen after following a specific process outlined in the Constitution. This is stated in Article 148 of the Indian Constitution, which ensures that the CAG is not merely serving at the will of the President, even though the President is the one who makes the appointment. Secondly, when the CAG's term ends, they cannot take up any other official role or job within the Government of India or any state government. This restriction is important to prevent any conflicts of interest, as it helps ensure that the CAG's work remains unbiased and focused strictly on auditing government accounts. Additionally, the salary and overall service conditions of the CAG are determined by Parliament. According to the law set by Parliament, the salary of the CAG is equivalent to that of a judge of the Supreme Court. This equal pay underscores the importance of the role and affirms that it should be held in high regard. Importantly, once the CAG is appointed, their salary, pension, and rights regarding leave cannot be reduced or changed to their detriment. This protects the CAG from any undue influence that might arise from adjustments to their compensation or benefits. The rules concerning the service conditions of individuals working in the Indian Audit and Accounts Department, including the CAG's administrative powers, are defined by the President after consulting with the CAG. This collaboration helps ensure that the CAG has the authority needed to perform their duties effectively while maintaining accountability. Moreover, the expenses related to the CAG's office, including salaries, allowances, and pensions for the staff, are charged to the Consolidated Fund of India. This means that these expenses do not need to be approved by Parliament each time, providing the CAG's office with the necessary financial independence to function without interference. In conclusion, the constitutional provisions aiming to ensure the independence of the CAG are designed to uphold transparency and accountability in the government's financial dealings. By safeguarding this position, the Constitution helps maintain the integrity of public finance in India, allowing the CAG to carry out audits and reports without outside influence. This facilitates a system where taxpayers' money is handled responsibly, contributing to the overall good governance of the country. Duties and powers of the Controller and Auditor General, CAG, of India. The Constitution of India, specifically Article 149, gives the Parliament the authority to define the duties and powers of the Controller and Auditor General, CAG. In line with this, the Parliament passed the CAG's Duties, Powers and Conditions of Service Act in 1971. The CAG plays a crucial role in ensuring transparency and accountability in the finances of the government. Key responsibilities of the CAG. Audit of government accounts. The CAG is responsible for auditing all expenditures from the Consolidated Fund of India as well as the consolidated funds of each state and union territory that has a legislative assembly. This ensures that all financial transactions are legitimate and properly accounted for. Auditing contingency funds. The CAG audits all transactions related to the Contingency Fund of India and similar funds in each state. This involves oversight of funds that are reserved for emergencies, thus ensuring prudent management. Review of financial statements. The CAG audits the trading, manufacturing, profit and loss accounts, balance sheets, and other financial documents maintained by various departments of both the central and state governments. Scrutiny of public authorities. The CAG audits the receipts and expenditures of all bodies that receive substantial funding from central or state revenue. This oversight includes reviewing accounts of entities that get grants or loans from the government for specific purposes. Revenue assurance. the CAG verifies all receipts of the central and state governments, ensuring that the rules and processes in place are effective for assessing, collecting, and allocating revenue appropriately. Inventory oversight. The CAG is also tasked with auditing the inventory and stock records of all offices and departments at both central and state levels to ensure accurate reporting and management. Government companies and corporations. The CAG audits the financial statements of government companies in accordance with the Companies Act. It also audits corporations that are mandated by their statutes to be audited by the CAG. Advisory role. The CAG advises the President of India on how the accounts of the central and state governments should be maintained, as stated in Article 150 of the Constitution. Preparation of audit reports. The CAG submits audit reports on the central government's accounts to the President, who is then required to present these reports to both Houses of Parliament, as per Article 151. For state accounts, the reports are submitted to the respective governor, who then presents them to the state legislature. Certification of tax proceeds. The CAG certifies the net proceeds of any tax or duty, as outlined in Article 279 of the Constitution. The net proceeds are calculated as the total amount collected minus the cost associated with collecting those funds, and the CAG's certification on this matter is conclusive. Public Accounts Committee assistance. The CAG serves as a guide for the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, helping to ensure accountability in government spending. Maintaining state accounts. The CAG manages and compiles accounts for state governments. However, following changes in 1976, the responsibility for compiling and maintaining the accounts of the central government was separated from the audit processes. Powers of the CAG. In order to perform these duties effectively, the CAG possesses several powers. The CAG has the authority to inspect any office or department that falls under its audit scope. The CAG can examine all financial transactions and question the personnel responsible for those transactions. The CAG can request access to any records, documents, and papers from any entity being audited. The CAG determines the extent and method of conducting audits. In summary, the CAG of India plays a vital role in maintaining the accountability of government finances, ensuring that taxpayer money is used effectively and responsibly. By auditing a wide range of financial activities, from the government's budgetary allocations to public enterprises, the CAG helps enhance public confidence in government operations. The comprehensive range of duties and powers vested in the CAG underscores the importance of financial oversight in a democratic society. The role of the Controller and Auditor General, CAG, in India. The Controller and Auditor General, CAG, of India plays a significant role in maintaining the financial health of the country's governance. Its core duty is to uphold the Constitution of India and ensure that the laws of Parliament are followed in managing public money. In India, the government, typically represented by the Council of Ministers, must answer to Parliament regarding how it uses funds. The CAG helps facilitate this accountability by preparing audit reports that evaluate how public money is spent. The CAG submits three main types of audit reports to the President of India: the report on appropriation accounts, the report on finance accounts, and the report on public undertakings. Once these reports are prepared, the President presents them to both the House of Parliament, the Lok Sabha, and the Rajya Sabha. After this, a committee called the Public Accounts Committee goes through the reports and shares their observations with Parliament. According to the Controller and Auditor General's (CAG) Duties, Powers and Conditions of Service Act of 1971, the CAG has the responsibility to check whether the funds shown as spent were legally available for use and whether the money was spent for the right purposes. The CAG also verifies that the expenditure matched the authorization provided by law. This type of audit is essential to ensure that the government's financial actions comply with established regulations. In addition to the legal checks, the CAG can perform what is known as a propriety audit. This audit goes beyond mere legality and examines whether the government's spending was wise, faithful to its objectives, and economical. While conducting this kind of audit is not mandatory for the CAG, it serves as an additional layer of scrutiny regarding public expenditure. In 2006, the Ministry of Finance introduced guidance on performance audits conducted by the CAG. This performance audit assesses how effectively public funds are utilized regarding economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. The aim is to evaluate the progress of development programs and measure whether the intended social and economic goals have been met, and at what cost. Through performance audits, the CAG seeks to ensure that government schemes are being executed effectively and economically. The CAG has more autonomy when auditing expenditures compared to auditing receipts, stores, and stocks. This means that the CAG can set the rules and guidelines for expenditure audits, while audits regarding receipts must often follow the executive government's approval. Additionally, when it comes to secret service spending, the CAG is limited in its role. In such cases, the CAG cannot demand details about the expenditures but must accept certification from the relevant administrative authority that the expenditures were made under proper authorization. According to Article 148 of the Indian Constitution, the CAG serves as both the Controller and the Auditor General. However, in practice, the CAG primarily acts as an Auditor General and does not exercise control over the release of funds from the Consolidated Fund of India. Various departments are allowed to withdraw funds by issuing checks without needing specific approval from the CAG in advance, confining the CAG's role to subsequent audits after the money has already been spent. This situation in India shows a significant distinction when compared to the CAG of the United Kingdom, who has dual authority as both Controller and Auditor General. In the UK, the government agencies must obtain the CAG's approval before drawing money from the public exchequer, thereby reinforcing the role of the CAG in maintaining oversight over public finances. In summary, the CAG of India is crucial for ensuring financial integrity in government spending, working primarily through audit reports and performance evaluations. While it lacks some powers that correspond to its role as a controller, its audits are vital tools for promoting accountability and transparency in the use of public funds. The role of the Controller and Auditor General, CAG, in auditing public corporations. The Controller and Auditor General of India, CAG, plays an important part in overseeing the finances of public corporations, but their role is somewhat limited. In simple terms, the involvement of the CAG can be understood through three main categories regarding how public corporations are audited. Firstly, some public corporations are audited directly by the CAG. This means that the CAG's office conducts a full audit of these corporations to ensure their financial statements accurately reflect their performance and accountability to the public. Secondly, there are other corporations that hire private professional auditors. These auditors are selected by the central government after discussing it with the CAG. In these cases, the CAG has a consultative role. However, if necessary, the CAG can carry out a supplementary audit, which means they may review the work done by the private auditors. This ensures an added layer of verification and accountability. The third category includes corporations that are fully audited by private auditors without any involvement from the CAG. In these situations, the private auditors complete their work and submit their annual reports and accounts directly to Parliament. This means the CAG does not check their audits or have any oversight in that process. When it comes to government companies, the CAG's role is also limited. These companies are primarily audited by private auditors who are appointed by the government based on the CAG's advice. Similar to the earlier categories, the CAG can also perform supplementary or test audits on these government companies as needed. This allows for a level of scrutiny to ensure that public funds are being used appropriately. it's essential to note that the work of the CAG is guided by specific articles of the Indian Constitution. Article 149 empowers the CAG to audit accounts of the Union and the states. Additionally, Article 150 mandates the CAG to prescribe the form of accounts of the Union and states, which enhances accountability. The CAG also acts under the Controller and Auditor General, Duties, Powers, and Conditions of Service Act, 1971, which provides more guidelines on their auditing responsibilities and powers. In conclusion, while the CAG plays a significant role in auditing various public corporations and government companies, their involvement can vary significantly from direct audits to providing oversight to private auditors. This structure helps ensure that public resources are managed responsibly and transparently, reflecting the principles of accountability that the Indian Constitution aims to uphold. Paul H. Appleby was an American scholar known for his studies in public administration, and he made some strong criticisms about the Office of the Controller and Auditor General, CAG, in India. In his reports, he raised concerns about the role and significance of the CAG's work. He even recommended that the CAG should not be responsible for audits anymore and suggested abolishing the position altogether. Appleby's main points of criticism focus on a few key areas. He argued that the functions of the CAG in India are largely carried over from the time of British colonial rule, indicating that they may not be relevant or effective in India's current context. He believed that the CAG's work creates a culture of hesitation and inaction, which he described as a widespread and paralyzing unwillingness to decide and to act. According to Appleby, the auditing process can have a negative effect as it discourages initiative and innovation within government departments. Another significant point made by Appleby is that the Indian Parliament holds an inflated view of the importance of auditing for its responsibilities. This, he argued, has led to a failure to clearly outline the role of the CAG as was intended in the Constitution. Article 148 of the Indian Constitution establishes the office of the CAG and outlines its responsibilities, but Appleby suggested that these functions aren't as crucial as they are often made out to be. He further pointed out that auditors may not have a strong understanding of effective administration. Auditors are trained in their specific field, but they do not necessarily have the broad expertise needed to navigate complex administrative challenges. Appleby claimed that the prestige of auditors tends to be recognized mostly by those who are not well versed in the intricacies of administration, which could skew the perception of their importance. Additionally, Appleby argued that officials working directly within departments, such as deputy secretaries, typically have more insight and knowledge about the issues they face than the CAG and their staff. This created a gap in understanding and relevance, according to his perspective. In summary, while the office of the CAG is constitutionally established and plays a necessary role in public accountability, Appleby's criticisms suggest that there are significant limitations and drawbacks to its operation in the context of modern Indian governance. His recommendations and observations invite a reconsideration of how auditing can be structured to support, rather than hinder, effective public administration. These insights prompt discussions about accountability, efficiency, and the actual impact of audit functions on governance in India today. Challenges faced by the CAG in external audit. The Controller and Auditor General, CAG, of India plays a crucial role in overseeing the financial management of the country. The Second Administrative Reforms Commission, which worked between 2005 and 2009, pointed out several challenges that the CAG faces regarding external audits. While the CAG has significantly contributed to better financial management through regular audit reports, various issues hinder its overall effectiveness. One of the major challenges is the limited scrutiny by the Public Accounts Committee, PAC. Each year, the CAG submits between 1,000 and 1,500 audit points, known as paras, to the Parliament. However, the PAC typically examines only about 15 to 20 of these paras. Consequently, government ministries and departments often do not take the majority of the audit findings seriously unless they are directly discussed in committee meetings. Moreover, after audit findings that are not discussed in meetings, these departments are expected to submit action taken notes. Often, these responses are merely formalities that lack real substance. In state legislatures, the situation is even worse, with many audit findings remaining unaddressed for years, sometimes even decades. The delayed review of these issues can diminish their relevance and urgency. Another problem is that thousands of inspection reports remain unanswered in both state and central government agencies. Some of these reports can have significant financial implications, yet there is little accountability for failing to act on them promptly. The timing of the CAG's audits also poses a challenge, as there can be a considerable delay between when a problem occurs and when it is reported. By the time audits are completed, corrective actions, if necessary, may no longer be feasible. The CAG's audit findings rely heavily on documents and paperwork. In many instances, these documents may not accurately reflect the on-ground reality. There is often no physical verification conducted to validate the findings. This lack of direct ground checks leads to a reliance on potentially outdated or incomplete information. Additionally, there is a perception that the audit reports emphasize negative aspects, focusing primarily on irregularities rather than recognizing the challenges government agencies face daily. For example, audits do not always differentiate between honest mistakes and deliberate misconduct. Furthermore, government agencies frequently contend with unforeseen problems and delays that can hinder their operations. In light of this, auditors benefit from hindsight and may inadvertently discourage innovation or risk-taking within government agencies. Audit reports tend to highlight numerous issues, many of which are already known and not resolved. Instead of presenting a constructive approach, these reports often fail to explore the underlying causes of problems and potential solutions. There is also a tendency for findings to be scattered and unfocused, lacking a comprehensive view of departmental performance, which diminishes their usefulness. The relationship between auditors and the agencies they audit can be strained. Typically, interactions occur at lower management levels, and higher-level dialogues necessary for improvement are scarce. Many government officials often view audits as punitive rather than as a constructive management tool. This perspective can lead to indifference toward audit findings and recommendations, which can undermine their effectiveness. Audit committees have been established to facilitate dialogue between auditors and government representatives regarding inspection reports and recommendations. However, their effectiveness has not been satisfactory. Additionally, media coverage of CAG reports is often minimal, resulting in limited public exposure and understanding. There is also a lack of transparency, as inspection reports rarely make it into the public domain. Coordination between external audits conducted by the CAG and internal audits is also insufficient. The external auditors do not always provide assurance that the government's financial statements are fair and adhere to accounting principles. Lastly, there is a significant gap in auditing grants and loans received by non-government organizations, NGOs. In conclusion, while the CAG plays an essential role in promoting accountability and transparency in the financial dealings of the Indian government, various factors hinder the effectiveness of external audits. It is crucial to address these issues to ensure that audits not only identify problems but also contribute constructively to improving governance and public financial management. Striking a balance between oversight and support for government agencies will be vital to foster a more effective and collaborative auditing environment.